It's a pretty big fish to fry. It's a pretty big fish to fry. My, oh, my. My. It's a pretty big fish to fry. It's a pretty big fish to fry. My, oh, my. Last weekend I'm very gone. I make it out alive. Told myself I'd take time and give the world a try. I was alive. My, oh, my.
Oh, everybody. It is Wednesday, Rocktober the 4th, 2017. You are checking out the premier sports and beer podcast. Coming to you live from New Jersey tonight. It's Low and Outside. You can check us out, lowandoutside.com. Thank you, everybody, for taking the time to join us on this lovely Wednesday evening. If you're Facebook Live, if you are not Facebook Live, thank you for taking the time in your car, in your workout, or wherever the hell it is that you listen to us, in your office when you're trying to dodge work. We do appreciate the time. Small group tonight. Right now, it's me and one other boy, but we will we'll see if anybody checks in throughout the duration here. So we'll see how this goes. Let's see what we got.
Why don't you go back home to your strip malls and drink your Zimas and Smirnoff Ices? Oh yeah! The greatest beer in all the world!
Somebody from the bar.
Yeah, I like cold beverage, yeah. I like cold beverage, yeah. I like cold beverage, yeah. Cause I'm feeling kind of parched. Stick it in the fridge, stick it in the fridge, stick it in the fridge, stick it in the fridge.
All right, Nikki.
Stick it in the fridge, stick it in the fridge, stick it in the fridge.
Coming to you from P-Town. Nikki, what do you got?
Sippany, what's up?
With
It's October, so
sleeveless.
one would assume I'd have some sort of Oktoberfest, right?
Sleeveless, Nick.
I'd have some sort of leftover Oktoberfest in the fridge.
Yeah.
But no, I don't have that.
No.
I have my father's homemade wine.
Nice.
Homemade wine. Nice. It's a Vincent Merlot cab mix. Yeah, very nice. Coming in hot, about 13% alcohol.
I can't drink Merlot. When I drink Merlot, I like break out in hives for some reason. Honestly, I don't like. I love red wine. I drink a cab. Pretty much, especially at every wedding that I'm at, I'll drink a cab with the steak that I'll order because I'm an animal, so I have to order the steak at every wedding. But I can't drink Merlot. I liked it. I drank it for a while, and then I started to break out in hives, which was wacky. So how long's your dad been doing that?
Yeah, he does it with his buddies. He's been doing it about like 3 years or so. He goes to his buddies like Man Cave, and they crush the grapes. They're actually going to crush the grapes like this weekend. So they do it like in the fall, then it ferments over the winter, and then in the spring they bottle it.
Oh, so that's a vintage there, right there. That's last year.
Oh, it's vintage. Oh yeah, the guy's got like prosciutto hanging from the ceiling. It's pretty cool.
Imagine that. The guy's got prosciutto hanging from his ceiling. The guy right now that's drinking his dad's homemade wine without sleeves on his t-shirt in the beginning of October. Yeah.
The prosciutto's hanging right next to the bodies in the basement.
Way to bust down those stereotypes tonight, by the way. You're one Italian horn away from just being that guy. Is it around?
I mean, you act like I'm not even exaggerating, which is the funniest part.
There's no lie.
Maybe not the bodies. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe not the bodies.
What are you drinking?
I got my my Coors Light koozie, so we'll.
All right.
We'll go to town right there, and before we can even think about entertaining any other topic, we have to do this.
Who cares?
So we got a couple of who cares things to lead off with. I thought this was funny. The NBA All-Star Game is going to change their formats this year. If you remember, we talked about this on the show how they should do it, right? We had brought up a couple of different.
Yeah, we had like a little breakdown show, I think, where we tried to delve into how they should do it to make it more exciting. But I think they're just getting more desperate.
Yeah, so they've decided that they're going to still name 12 All-Stars from the East and 12 from the West, but that won't matter because they're going to have two captains that are then going to pick their own teams from those 24 players.
Does it really matter though? Because like, I mean, the game's going to be the same. They're just going to be doing alley oops and shooting from half court, no defense. Like, it's just for fun, which is fine because that's what the All-Star game should be. But why are they like so desperate to try to brand it as this great game? Everyone knows what it is.
Well, that's my question to you. Like, the way that they're going to do it is they're still going to have those guys that play, that are offensive minded players that are the majority of the guys that make the team, right? So it's not like you have LeBron and Steph Curry out there. All right, pick your team, and then like LeBron decides to go with this like defensive stopper,
like Timothy Mozgov, like at center. Like he's not gonna, you know what I mean? It's like, come on,
right? So it's really,
I'll take Joakim Noah.
Yeah, it's really kind of a scam, I guess. But I don't know. Do you think that adds? I mean, because the NHL did something like that, didn't they? Where they would pick teams.
Yeah, they have like a little draft almost. I guess it could be cool, but again, I don't really watch it to begin with, so I'm not sure this is going to really pull me in.
What's your rationale for not watching it? Just because there's no defense? Is that a part of it, or is it?
Probably. I mean, I'll usually tune it in for about maybe 10 minutes, but after a while, I just get tired of watching the three ball. I'd rather, if there's a college game on during the All-Star game, I'd rather watch that.
Yeah. Okay. So
that's just me, but
the two captain thing doesn't do anything for you.
No, not really.
Who cares?
Okay.
Press the button.
Yeah. Our boy LeVar Ball's back in the news. I don't know if you saw this. He's pulling the youngest ball child from high school. So he's not going to go to high school. He's going to homeschool him, and then I guess maybe not even send him on to UCLA.
Yeah, I saw he said that all three of his sons are going to wind up playing on the Lakers at some point. I mean, I know it's kind of easy to bash the guy, but from my perspective, I don't know. I'm just kind of in the party that like you shouldn't really tell people how to raise their kids. I mean, especially considering the guy's not like a drunk or some like abusive father. At least like he's supporting him in maybe an obnoxious way. But I mean, I guess you can do whatever you want with your kid. I don't know.
Entirely true. Like, I'm not saying he's a drunk, but I don't know that he's supporting his kids. I mean, if you're forcing your kid to not go to high school and then maybe not go to college because you want to make your own shoe brand, and then that violates NCAA rules or high school rules, like, I don't know if that's a guy doing like supporting his kid. That might be a guy just totally exploiting his kid. So I don't know.
I mean, maybe, but I would still take that over some guy that's not even in the picture. I don't know.
I don't know what's worse. Honestly, I don't think either are very good. Paulie joining us. Hey, bud, you just missed a check-in. Are you drinking anything tonight or no?
Yeah, of course. It's fall. Got a nice Sam Oktoberfest.
Nice.
One of the classics.
Yeah, that's what Nick said he was going.
I was a little disappointed this year with that. What do you think about it?
I think it's good. Good as it always is. Nick, you don't have your ballast point back?
No, you missed it. I have homemade wine.
Nice.
Where's Sean?
Yeah. I like the new location, Nick. Looking solid.
Yeah, the basement with the dolphin gnome over my shoulder, just so I always lose.
I was really counting on you, Paul, to make a sleeveless joke because I already made a couple of them. So I was really.
It was coming. It was.
Oh, here we go.
Well, man,
hey, JP, 56 nothing, bro.
We got a whole lot of latecomers tonight. JP, how are you, man?
You sound like you're drinking homemade wine.
Are you drinking anything tonight or no, JP?
What's that? No, I got nothing. I got a little bit of a stomach ache, so I'm drinking Gatorade tonight.
Okay. All right, so we're in the middle of Who Cares. We just tackled LeVar Ball, who's pulled his other kid from high school. Paulie, as a father of a young boy, you could see yourself making this move one day, right? Like pulling AA out of high school and being like, I'm gonna just teach you how to play golf, and you're not gonna go to school.
How is that not a punter joke right there?
It's tough to have your kid get a scholarship to play football if he doesn't play in high school.
I don't know. You could show up at tryouts and get a scholarship down the road. No chance. There's no chance I would do that to my kid. First of all, I'm not going to exploit my kid. Second of all, he's going to make his decisions. And I think being in high school is a valuable, you learn valuable life lessons, how to handle yourself, how to be within a crowd, not isolated. So again, LeVar Ball is a piece of shit. And now we're seeing it firsthand.
Who cares?
This one is straight out of JP's wheelhouse there. We're going to go to the world of soccer.
There's some Disney ties. I think this is half JP, half Cove.
It might be. Alex Morgan of U.S. Women's Soccer was physically removed from Epcot Center the other day for having way too much to drink. Listen, I've been in Epcot and I've done the whole drink around the world thing. You have to be really, really obnoxiously drunk to be physically removed from Epcot Center after that, right? So, I mean, has everybody on the panel been to Epcot?
Not since I'm 21 now.
But you've been there.
Yeah.
But you've seen that people do this. Like, this is not a foreign concept to you, you know.
No, it's not. Yeah, but I mean, I think it comes down to like, hey, you're in your off season, you can kind of do what you want, but like, again, you're a professional athlete and you're gonna be piss drunk in Epcot. Like that's pretty embarrassing.
You're not a professional athlete. You're an Olympian. I mean, you've represented the country. Like, I don't know. I mean, I know nobody takes that seriously. I don't even know why I bothered to say it, but it just, to me, like, I feel like these people that we prop up and on our Olympic teams, like, they deserve to, you know, or they should carry themselves a little more class than that. I don't know. What do you think, Soccer Boy?
It's pretty embarrassing. It's pretty embarrassing. I have no idea what to say about it. I don't know how you can, like, listen, I've done the tour of the world. I'm pretty sure, Paul, Jeff, I know you have, Nick, I'm sure you will the next time you're down there. It's a lot of fun to do, but I mean, like Jeff said, you either have to drink 2 or 3 per country to get to the point that you're that obnoxious or that drunk that you're going to get kicked out of Epcot Center.
Yeah, or just be like a bad person. Like the environment there is like, even if you had a bunch, like, way too much to drink, like, the environment there is like just fun and happy, like, families. Like, so, like, for you to be like getting kicked out, like, you must be just yelling at the guy in Mexico, like, I want 2 margaritas, motherfucker.
Short of dry humping a Disney character, I mean, it's
whoa.
let it go.
Maybe they send some guy with Mickey Mouse ears and a sleeveless fucking shirt to go throw her out.
Fuck Mickey.
Get this gal out of here. Get her out of here.
Go Red Hawks.
I hope he dies lowly and forgotten, soiled bathroom in a poor neighborhood.
With his hand in Goofy's pants.
Oh my God.
Who cares?
This one is not on the list, but I'm going to add it. FS1 had a viral marketing, I guess it's not even viral, just a marketing campaign in the New York subway system that was all anti-New York Knicks. Did any of you guys actually catch this?
Well, it wasn't all anti-New York Knicks, right? Wasn't it like half the subway was like, this team won't win with Dolan. This team's a mess. It's just horrific. And then the other side was like, Porzingis is fucking awesome. And it's like pick a side campaign kind of thing.
Oh, okay. I must have misread what it was. I thought it was just a complete smear campaign of the entire franchise. So,
it's definitely half of it. And I don't know where FS1 kind of plays a role in this. They have no relationship with the Knicks. They have no relationship with the NBA. So I don't know what their intent was, but it definitely got some attention in this area.
Well, I heard that Dolan actually he didn't even bother to call FS1. He went right to Rupert Murdoch.
Straight to the top.
Right to the top. And he was like, you know, what are you doing? I mean, like, think about Stones, right? Who the hell does Jim Dolan think he is? Like, does he really think that Rupert Murdoch gave the green light on a subway campaign for Fox Sports 1? Like,
He's like, yep, do it. Yep, do it. I agree. Do it.
What?
It'd be interesting to see if they did other campaigns around the country. I don't know the answer to that. Statboy, get on that.
Did Fox Sports like sign the graffiti on it, or
it
like,
says FS1? Yeah, no, it wasn't graffiti, dude. It was like
I know I didn't mean graffiti. I meant whatever the paint was on in the subway.
It was like legitimate, like printed vinyl, like
Yeah, they like
That's
shrink
how-
wrapped it.
Yeah, like it was legit, and it had FS1 on the bottom of it. So
What's the point of it? I mean, like Paul said, Fox Sports has nothing to do with basketball.
I think that from my perspective, the point of it is exactly what we're doing right now.
Talking about it.
Because nobody, Fox Sports 1 is trying to put the proverbial nail in the ESPN coffin, and they don't really have the entire sports package, by which that they can do it. So if they can get their name out in some of the bigger cities by picking up on what the actual, pulse is on some of these teams. I mean, you couldn't have hit the nail more on the head than what the pulse is for that Knick franchise. The majority of the franchise thinks Porzingis is great, and the rest of and they all think that the rest of it's a joke, and nobody would ever have the balls to do it, but they did.
It was interesting. I mean, definitely got some talk going around the area.
Like right here.
But in the end, it doesn't accomplish anything, right?
Cares.
Right.
Who cares?
I don't know if you guys saw Rick Pitino is out.
Douchebag.
Complete shock.
Of listening to the show last week, like literally the day after we record the show, all this shit hits the fan, and he gets fired, and the AD gets fired. I think technically they've been put on like unpaid administrative leave or some other like snowflake jargon. But it's hysterical to me that he's still like, oh, I didn't know anything about it. The truth will come out. It's like you knew.
Yeah, you and Craig Carton.
You just knew, all right, and you got caught, and it's over, and it's fine. You made a living off of it, and you probably, as a result, you probably helped a good amount of kids, and you probably screwed a good amount of kids in the same time. Nobody should make Rick Pitino out to be a saint. At the same point, I don't think anybody should make Rick Pitino out to be the worst guy that ever coached basketball either. I think it's a shame that he's the one taking the fall, because I think it's a bigger problem.
I mean, he's been caught up in a couple scandals, so yeah, he's definitely taken the fall. But if we as sports fans and people that follow college basketball think that this is the only place that it's going on, it's definitely not.
Oh, it's absolutely the tip of the iceberg. This is just scratching the surface of what they're going to find and where it's going to go. And don't think Adidas is the only company that was doing it. I'm sure eventually it's going to come out that Nike and
a big baller brand.
Yeah.
No, his kids aren't in college though. Remember that.
Yeah.
Here's my question for you, JP, because you're our big college football guy.
Yeah.
Without Sean here tonight, University of Oregon and Nike are like very intimately entwined. So I can't imagine that it would take much digging to find even some accidental mishandling of Nike funds.
Well, that's a little bit different because Knight has hundreds of millions of dollars going into Oregon, facilities wise and stuff like that. It's not even just a Nike contract. I mean, you can say the same thing about Under Armour in Maryland. I mean,
Okay, so hold on. Let's examine both of those things for a second, because just because they're donating to the university, does that make it above board? I don't know the answer to that. I don't know the answer to the fact that Phil Knight is an Oregon guy and he can donate hundreds of millions of dollars a year if he really wanted to, to look at these guys and say, hey, look, Oregon is got all the Nike money. If you want to be a Nike athlete, you better be putting on that Ducks uniform. Like who's to say that he can't say that?
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, but every university at some level has some enormous donor that's involved with some company, and it could go back. I mean, you're saying Nike because they're athletes, but I mean, it can even go as far as like, oh, well, I'll donate these millions of dollars, but these kids will have jobs when they're done, or they'll, it's the same type of situation, but
it's not, because if you say I'll donate hundreds of millions of dollars and these kids will have a job when they're done, there's no governing body looking at that going, oh, you can't do that.
Well, technically the NCAA, but go ahead, Nick.
Why would
Well,
no? Why would the NCAA have anything to do with the fact that if a private donor came into an institution and said, here's $200 million for a medical research program that I want your graduate students to do, and after they've gone through the program, they all have a job in one of my medical facilities. There's nothing to stop a huge donor from doing that and from giving people the opportunity once they graduate. So why are we going back to this nonsensical argument just because they can dribble a ball or catch a ball? It doesn't make any sense. The whole thing is verkauft. Crickets, boys, crickets. I mean, I don't get it. I mean, I'm
so
not.
what are you trying to say, that it shouldn't be a big deal because anyone can do it?
No, I'm saying the entire system, the way they have it set up, allows for this bullshit to happen. And if you want it to be above board, you need to change the way you do business, because we wouldn't blink an eye if the scenario that I just painted happened and it resulted in the entire country getting better doctors. But we do blink an eye when it happens because it results in the country getting a better basketball player, because it ruins the amateur athlete bullshit. It's nonsense.
Maybe we can do it for quarterbacks, because there's only like 10 good quarterbacks in the whole fucking country.
I still don't get that, but
but I think that the problem with Louisville dug deeper than just donations from the companies and stuff like that, because he was bringing in hookers for like these recruits, like that crosses a whole nother line.
I'm not talking about that. Patino's he's run weird, fugazi, strange bullshit program for probably his entire career. I'm talking about this funneling of money through endorsement companies to athletes.
Well, it's sponsorship. It's sponsorship of the university. They're not sponsoring the players per se. They're sponsoring the university's athletics programs. And it's not just, people tend to turn around and say, Under Armour's spending $60 million, or I don't even know what the number is, but probably well north of that, to sponsor and for Under Armour to have, the equipment and stuff they use at Maryland, but what people don't realize also is that also funds the non-revenue sports and stuff like that. It funds wrestling, it funds track and field, it funds, these sports where, those sports don't generate enough revenue. They don't work in the black. All of them are all in the red. Women's basketball, a lot of them too. Most women. So
I think that's the convenient byproduct. I think what you're going to see going forward is a company like Under Armour that's Maryland based. That if Under Armour was as successful as it is now, when Durant was choosing a university to go to, he may have gone to Maryland because he knew that if he went there, he would have Under Armour money when he left. And I think that it's, you say that it's sponsorship of the athletic department, it's not the athletes, but that's bullshit, because the athletes are the ones that are wearing the swoosh on their freaking chest.
Well, I think you got to go one step further, and it's not necessarily the college part of it. It's when AAU basketball programs are getting sponsored by these companies, Nike, Under Armour, Adidas. Like these are high school kids, and there's these coaches that are getting endorsement deals to put on Adidas, and this is where I personally think this is all going to go down to, with this NCAA investigation. You're going to find out that these AAU programs were the ones who were really funneling these kids to the colleges, because it was easy to get the money to these high school coaches, or not even to the high school coaches, but these AAU coaches. AAU is the most corrupt. You think the NCAA is corrupt? The AAU program is probably the most corrupt program in the world.
No, it's terrible.
It's like FIFA corrupt.
No, it's bad. It's bad. I'm not suggesting that we should just turn a blind eye to all of it and let everybody just sign contracts and do. That's not what I'm suggesting. But what I'm saying right now is the way that the system is it's broken. And so instead of having things that are out in the open and what's going on, and a kid can profit off of his or her name and likeness, there's this fugazi backroom bullshit. Now, Rick Pitino was also involved, like you said, Nick, with somebody on the staff buying kids escorts and prostitutes. So that's not exactly the best example for the point that I'm trying to make. But there are programs all over the country where this stuff is going on. They named about 4 or 5 of them that are big time, Division I programs that were tied to this type of stuff that the FBI has found out. So it's only gonna come out that it's more of them.
I think Rutgers needs to get involved in some of this shit.
Seriously, we need a company.
Yeah,
in
they
New
just got to
Jersey.
deal with
Yeah,
Adidas.
it's the funniest thing. They just signed a deal with Adidas, and then all this crap came out.
Whatever.
Who cares?
They forgot to get the talented players though.
Well,
Who cares?
A bad trade off. The Yankees played a game last night, boys. I don't know if any of you caught it. It started at 8:00, and I think it wrapped up about an hour and a half ago.
Yeah, 3 innings was like 2 hours.
Was it that bad?
Go ahead.
Was it that long of a game? I was up for the whole thing. I don't know what time it ended
12:02.
exactly.
yeah, it was a pretty
So
long
I remember,
game.
and I was like, "Holy shit! I gotta work tomorrow."
And very unmanageable 4 hours and 2 minutes.
Oh my god!
I just look. The one thing I'll say about the time of the whole thing, and then we'll actually talk a little bit about the actual game, is I said this about the Monday Night Football games. These were 2 East Coast teams that were playing. I guess it's Minnesota Central Time.
Yes.
Yes.
So there was no reason why this game couldn't have started at least an hour before it did. I don't care that the West Coast wants to watch a New York Minnesota game. I don't.
They
care.
don't.
So
They don't even want to watch their own teams.
Yeah.
so that game should have started at 7:00. Because if it starts at 7:00 and it goes to 11:00, I can hang for that whole game. I can't hang till midnight. It's stupid. And forget about me, the old guy. You got 12-year-old kids that are either staying up and going to school like zombies, or that continue to not follow the game because they start too damn late. I just think baseball is shooting themselves in the foot.
It's catering to the unemployed.
or the gambler.
Yampo, where is he?
Oh boy.
Not so fast, Pat Jack.
Let's talk about the game. There was all sorts of talk about Severino this and Severino that, and then I heard somebody called up to Fat Sessa and was like,
I was gonna say Francesca. Go ahead.
what if he doesn't get out of the first inning?
It's like over on the 1 inning.
No, he's like, no, he'll definitely go into the 8th. He'll go into the 8th.
Not gonna happen. Okay. It's like, okay. No, he'll get out in 1 inning. 1 inning. Right. Okay.
God damn, that's good.
The guy was just trying to I listened to it. The guy was just trying to bring up points. Like, hey, who do you go to if by some disaster he shits the bed? Like just a regular question, which obviously wound up being true, and he was just dismissing it as if it was like the most ridiculous thing in the world.
Like it could never happen, right? Like it's never happened in the history of baseball. that a starting pitcher that's 23 years old just comes out in his first postseason start and doesn't have it.
And pretty much like a Game 7.
He just didn't have it. He didn't have it. And it's a situation where like Girardi, I was watching the game. I don't know. I mean, I played less baseball than probably anybody else in this panel, so I'm probably not the one to really speak to it. But when I look at Girardi, I feel like he falls into one of 2 categories in every game. I feel like he's always over managing or under managing, and I guess last night what I thought was over managing by going to these like piecemeal relievers rather than one of the starters that he could have gone to turned out to be exactly the right call. So I mean, Paul, you say you stayed up for the whole thing. Would you have changed anything that he did, or do you think he pushed all the right buttons?
No, I mean you can't argue with the result. I mean, Chad Green's had a great second half of the year. I mean, he's probably been, if not their best, one of their best 2 players out of the bullpen. So to go to him, I mean, 2 men on, first inning, got to get out of a jam. I mean, you question it right away.
Wow. Too.
You question it right away because you're just, is he over managing? I mean, that's what Girardi gets a lot of slack for. So, I mean, he pushed all the right buttons. I think, I don't know what it does to your bullpen Thursday.
Does that matter? Honestly,
I mean, they didn't use Betances, which I don't know if that speaks volumes to how he struggled lately, or if.
Well, there wasn't a single Yankee fan alive that thought they were going to win up Kansas last night, right?
Yeah, I mean,
unless they were up at like 6.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Robertson going over 3 innings
Robertson was brilliant.
I mean, that just makes that entire trade worth it right there. So
It was definitely a surprise that he went as many innings as he did, though.
3 1/3 with 5 strikeouts, I think it was, right?
yeah, 5 Ks. He threw like over 50 pitches. So he's probably out for Thursday. But I mean, you got plenty of arms in there. So
I was
see what
surprised.
happens.
To be fair, I was surprised that he didn't go to like after Green got out of the first. I was surprised he didn't go to somebody like Sabathia. You know,
I don't know. I just think that he at that point he's thinking, hey, if my offense can't score 3 runs, we probably don't deserve to win the game anyway. But for now, I'm going to put the best relievers that I know can lock down their offense, because you throw a guy like Sabathia in there, never come out of the bullpen before, it's maybe a little bit weird. And if he starts giving up a couple runs, then you're back to kind of square one. I think you just go, hey, I'm gonna throw my best pitchers to try to lock down every inning and do 1 inning at a time, and it worked.
well, the thing was though, after the bottom of the first, the game was tied, right? Or did the Yanks take the lead? I don't even.
No, it was tied. Yeah.
No, it was tied. Yeah.
I mean, realistically, at that point, that's when I was saying that they would have gone to CC or somebody else, or some other starter that would just give you the length. But like you said,
Maybe the length, but those relievers are so shut down, man. I mean, Robertson and Green has been absolutely incredible. So I don't, I was like, this is the right move when it was happening, because I'm like I said, if Sabathia comes in, maybe he gives you 4 innings, but if he gives up 2 runs, then that doesn't really help you much, because you already gave up 3. So you got to just throw your best pitchers out there.
There was a guy that had to come in and replace Derek Jeter at shortstop that got crushed for like 3 or 4 weeks in the beginning of his time in the Bronx, and now hits a monster home run in this wild card game to really propel the Yankees back into the game. I mean, you can't tell me that there isn't a Yankee fan walking the earth today that isn't thrilled to have Didi Gregorius up the middle. And that was just not the case like 2 or 3 weeks after he got here. Right?
Sir Didi. Jeez, he's been freaking amazing all year. He set a Yankee record for home runs by a shortstop in a season. So to see him keep it going in the postseason, I mean, you had the young guys kind of show up. So that was nice to see. But I mean, when you have the veteran leadership of like Didi and just Castro being out there, Gardner, the way he played yesterday was outstanding. So
can you talk to me, because when you played, Paul, where were you most likely to be in the lineup?
3 hole.
Okay, what about you, Nick?
4.
Okay, so neither JP, did you ever really play organized baseball or no?
No, I stopped playing organized baseball like once I got to junior high.
So neither one of you guys were ever really at the top of the lineup like Gardner was. But one of the things that I thought Gardner did just remarkably well yesterday was right out of the gate. He went up to the plate. They were down 3, and you could tell that he was going up there to take pitches. That there was no you could have bet somebody $1,000 in game that he wasn't swinging at that first pitch, even if it was right down the middle. He was taking pitches. He was going to work the count to get that pitch count up and try to get on base. To me, like, I know he's the most tenured guy right now, and he's the veteran and this and the other thing, but he was the guy that I thought totally set the tone offensively to get that team back on track, and is the total reason why he's at the top of the lineup.
Absolutely, working the count a little bit. I mean, having confidence in yourself to be a 2-strike hitter if you need to, and just he can use his speed to get on base. So, I'm looking at it right now. He was up five times, saw 25 pitches.
And
I mean,
I bet you the majority.
That's working the count.
I bet you the majority of them were in that first at bat, right? Because that first at bat I think went full.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's a different mindset batting leadoff. I bat leadoff. Like senior year, I was in the 4 hole, but junior year I batted leadoff for probably half the year. It's a different mindset because, like you said, Jeff, you got to go up there like, hey, I got to work the count, because you don't want to swing the first pitch and ground at the shortstop to start the game, because that kind of kills any sort of chance the team can see the pitcher or whatever. But especially in that situation, you're down 3 runs, you need base runners. You got to make sure that the pitcher feels some pressure. The leadoff, first thing that the pitcher does is lead off the game with a walk. He's immediately sweating bullets, and then just kind of escalated from there.
Especially when you give up a walk, you got a 3-run lead. You give up a walk, and you got Judge coming up.
Yeah. Can you guys explain that to me? That he hits 2? Like, why is a guy that's got 50 home runs hitting in the 2-hole?
I think he's just trying to get him the most at bats. I think because he kind of was
that, or is it? I mean, is it the staggering? Because they love this like
Lefty righty
shit.
I don't know. I just think like they were just kind of juggling with the lineup, especially when Judge was slumping in the 3-hole. So they're trying to like, oh, let's try him here. Let's try him here. Then once they put him in the 2-hole, probably by coincidence, maybe not, he just started hitting home runs again. So like, let's just leave him here.
I mean,
And 2, 3, 4, the way it's set up, right? At least last night with Judge, Sanchez, Gregoria, the Didi is pretty awesome. In my opinion.
well, the whole lineup is freaking stacked. I mean, you got Todd Frazier hitting 9th, who multiple times in his career has hit over 30 home runs. I mean, there's power all over that lineup. There's not a single guy that you're going to face that doesn't have the ability to hit any ball that you're going to throw out of the park. I mean, that's just like the Bronx Bombers to a T. Like there's not a single guy in that lineup that you can try to pitch around that can't get a hold of one and hit it out. And that to me is it's exciting. It's fun. How do you see, before we move on to some of these other series, how do you see this series playing out with Cleveland, Paul?
I don't know, but you look at Cleveland over the past 50 games, they're 42-8, something like that. So they've just been phenomenal. Their starting pitching is out of this world. So if they're gonna have any chance, Cleveland's not starting Kluber game 1, so you have to jump on that. You have to get that game at least, and then maybe you steal one when you get the bullpen back.
Do you think, Nick, by not starting Kluber in game 1, that's any kind of a method that they're looking past the Yanks, or do you think it's just a way to ensure that he pitches that closeout game if it goes 5?
No, I immediately thought he's going to definitely pitch game 5. That's what they wanted to do because he's their ace for all intents and purposes. But I think at this point, it's all gravy. They're playing with house money. I mean, I just said, like I said last week, they got to win this wild card game. Now they're going to get at least 3 games of playoff experience. That's going to be huge for next year. But the things like Paul said, you got to get game 1 if you want any chance in the series because Kluber has dominated the Yankees, and I expect him to dominate them again when they play. So if you want any chance of winning, game 1's the game that you got to get to start.
JP, Severino had 20-something pitches in game 1, didn't get out of the first inning. I mean, in the last game, didn't get out of the first inning. Would you pitch him in game 1 or game 2 and then push Tanaka back to the familiar confines of the Yankee Stadium where he pitches better, or would you stick with the rotation as it was?
I would probably stick with the rotation as it was. I don't, the Severino thing is interesting because you don't know if he's rattled right now after having that outing in the playoffs. You don't know what he's, he could very well come in and pitch game 1 and be lights out and pitch a gem and you kind of set up. But I don't know. I think you stick with the rotation as is.
I would do that.
But it actually came out a little while ago that the Yankees are going to start Gray in game 1 and CC in game 2.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then who are they going?
Yeah, I saw that.
I guess Tanaka 3.
Tanaka 3. They come back with Severino in 4.
Or they skip over Severino, depending on.
I really don't think you can skip over him.
No, you're not going to skip him.
They wouldn't do that because they would have him. So then in theory you would have Tanaka, Severino at home, right?
Right.
And then go back to Gray in a potential game 5.
I guess so. And then, all hands on deck in game 5, but I guess Gray would start technically.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, we'll see. Let's quickly go through the rest of them. Do any of you have the Colorado game on right now?
It was 3-0 Arizona.
Okay.
In the first inning. I'm not sure what it is right now. I'll bring it up.
Do either of those teams have a shot against the Dodgers?
I don't know. I kind of like Arizona. Their pitching staff's good. They have Greinke. They have Robbie Ray, who strikes out a ton of people, and somehow Fernando Rodney still closes out games at the age of 40 with only a fastball and a changeup.
And a bow and arrow.
And a bow and arrow. It's fucking awful. But that's a good lineup. I mean, the Dodgers have struggled second half of the season. I guess it depends what you get out of Kershaw. If he's, the playoff Kershaw we've seen, that's not really a dominant pitcher. If he gets back to his regular season stuff, then it's going to be tough because behind him they have, just a plethora of starting pitchers that have just kind of mowed through the whole season.
Right. What if you had to predict a National League Championship Series, then, Paul, without even seeing who's going to come out of this game, who would be the two teams that you would think would get there?
Two teams to the NLCS?
NLCS, yeah.
I'm going to stick with Arizona. I'm going to go Arizona and I think Chicago. Chicago gets back to the NLCS.
Okay. JP, what about you?
Well, Arizona's winning 3-0 right now. I guess bottom of the second. I don't know. I think I don't think Arizona. I think the Dodgers will be fine. I think it's going to be Dodgers and the Cubs.
Okay, Nick.
Dodgers Nats.
Dodgers Nats. Okay. We'll see. I don't have a feel. I mean, I think the Dodgers are going to get there, but I don't have a feel for who they're going to play. I would say maybe they'll play the Cubs, but I'm not sure. What about if we bounce over to the American League? Jip, do you have a feel?
I don't have a feel on the American League. My Yankee fan in me is hoping that Cleveland peaked way too soon and they come out in the playoffs and just can't hit. But the heart of me knows that that's not going to be the case. So I really don't think. Obviously I think that the Indians are gonna beat the Yankees. It will probably be a 5 or 6 game series. And I really haven't watched either team on the other side all that much, to be honest with you. So,
what about you, Nick? Who would you put in the ALCS?
Unfortunately, I'd probably say Cleveland, Houston. But who knows? Who knows? Anything can happen in October.
Paul?
I think Cleveland wins it. I think it goes 5. I think the Yankees put up a good fight. I think Boston comes out. I don't know. Short series, seeing Sale twice. I don't think Boston loses that.
You guys have no marbles. I'm picking the Yanks. I'm picking the Yanks and the Sox to go old school and to alienate half the country.
Man, wouldn't that be fun though?
Look. I had said to somebody that I work with who is like just one of those quintessential annoying Red Sox fans, right? Like grew up in freaking Cambridge, just one of those, and just look at them and you're like,
how does he talk, Jeff?
I love my socks.
Well, first of all, it's a she. So she's got the very thick Boston accent, right? And I said to her early in the year, I said, listen, both these teams are gonna be in there at the end of the year, whether it's in the playoffs or at the end of the regular season. I said, and this is not gonna go away anytime soon. Like this rivalry is gonna only heat up over the next couple of years because they both got cores that are gonna hang around, and it's gonna be interesting to see if you can get that same fire that existed between those two teams. I saw today Pedro and Gary Sheffield were on the TBS pregame together, and John Flaherty tweeted in, and they put it on the screen to talk about how the time that Pedro beaned Sheffield in the back and how Sheffield wanted to beat his ass. and then they actually showed where he beaned him, and Chef was like, "Yeah, no, that's true. I wanted to go get some." And Pedro's sitting there going, that was Bernie Williams' fault. He kept telling you to step out of the box, right? I blame Bernie, right? So they're able to laugh about it all these years later. But if you remember at the time, man, like Pedro was throwing 85-year-old men to the ground. Mm-hmm. Like that was a serious rivalry. One of the last that I think we've really seen in sports. Forget about those two.
Right. Like the players actually hated each other. Yeah. Like the players hated each other. Like now it's just the fans because now they're all like buddy on social media.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're taking pictures. They're working out together. Like, give me a break.
56,000 people chanting, "Who's your daddy?"
Right. I mean, hopefully, I hope to God it happens again because it was awesome, right? But we'll see. That is one thing I will say. To put a bow on the Yankee playoff game, I would say that that crowd last night was the loudest that I've heard on television in the new stadium.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
Since the
I
World
agree.
Series.
Yeah, I think it was louder. I think it was louder than that World Series. To me, it had and again, it was on TV. I know.
Yeah, we could have had a first-hand account if Brett wasn't so soft.
I know that Brett was
Came
there.
on.
And the ovation that they gave Robertson coming off the field was that was like quintessential postseason Yankee send off with the guy coming off the mound.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, that happened like 3 hours ago, so I didn't really care. All right, let's go and kind of close up shop here. Last segment, really fast, about the NFL. I wanted to just kind of go through and I'll set it up, boys, because I didn't really give you much time to look at it. I wanted to go through.
Just gonna go under the table for this one.
I wanted to go through with.
You looking for your sleeves?
Perfect. Thank you. So 47 minutes in. Came. The surprises, one way or the other, for you this year in the NFL. I've got 3 of them, and 2 of them are the locals. Anthony had sent me a text message from Major League where it was the scene where the guys are the blue collar guys are like, these guys ain't so fucking bad, right? And like, I was sitting in the stadium last week next to my brother, and I looked at the guys in front of me. I'm like, boys, I hate to break it to you, this is not the worst team of football. And I'm really surprised by it because I didn't think that they had put a representative product on the field this year, but they might come out and win this week. And if
Not the worst team that plays in that stadium.
No, they are certainly not the worst team that plays in that stadium.
I mean, to be fair, they almost blew last week too, but they won the game. So if they can come out of the first 5 games 3-2, you can't tell me there's anybody in America that thought that was happening. You just can't. You can't. Now on to the Giants, which are my other team that surprises me. I don't know what's going on. I mean, I know that their offensive line is a complete mess, and I guess that's where you're going to pin all of this. But at a certain point, like, you got a former MVP as a quarterback, you got maybe the best player on offense, young player in the game, and you got a continual All-Pro wide receiver that you just picked up. Like, and your defense is stacked. You gotta figure it out, man. And like, to me, like, this is 100% on the coach. 100%. There's not a single thing that he's done to make adjustments to prevent this from happening week in and week out. And then he goes to those dopey press conferences and starts blaming guys that has nothing to do with. So that's my second one. Third one, I've got the Patriots. I'm really surprised the Patriots are 2-2 after 4. I'm more surprised at how bad their defense looks. I thought that Belichick would have figured it out after the first 2 games or so. But if they continue to play that poorly on defense, I don't see how they can get out of the AFC. So you don't have to give me 3 of them, but I'll start with Paul. I'll go to Nick and then conclude with JP. Everything we've seen this year in the NFL, a quarter of the way through, that's totally surprised you, Paul.
I mean, you talked about the locals, so I don't want to dwell on that too much. But one team out west is, I mean, no one thought the Rams would be 3-1, and their offenses look pretty good doing it. I mean, everyone kind of wrote off Todd Gurley. Screwed a lot of people in fantasy last year, but I mean, that guy's back with a vengeance. He is a dynamic player, and that offense has been clicking. So I think that's one surprise. And with Detroit, I mean, we kind of shit on the Stafford contract, but the guy's done nothing but go out there and win and make the throws he has to make. And he doesn't have the best supporting cast around him, but God, that he's got him a 3-1 so far. I mean, if he can bring that team to the playoffs, I mean, I don't know how anyone could look at that as a bad contract.
Do you think we had talked? I know that a couple of us are Bill Simmons fans. We had talked a while ago, maybe almost a year ago, about the Ewing theory, which is the theory that when the best player on your team goes away, the team rallies around and somehow is better when that player is gone. There's some serious Ewing theory stuff going on over the last 2 years with that Detroit team having lost Megatron.
Yeah, I don't know. Their defense is better than I've ever imagined them to be. Last year, their offense was kind of shaky, I remember, and the defense kind of carried them to the playoff berth. But this year too, though, they held teams to less than 20 points, and they just play really well.
What about you, Nikki? You have anything that's surprising you this year?
I don't know. Unfortunately, because I hate this team, but the Bills have been unbelievable to me. They have quality wins. I mean, they beat the Jets at home, but they beat Denver at home, and then they went to Atlanta to win. I mean, that's a team that is supposed to be tanking with the Jets, are the two best teams in the AFC East, and the Patriots, who are the reigning Super Bowl champs, are struggling a little bit, and the Dolphins, who are supposed to be contenders, look like shit. So it's like you never know what to predict with these teams. You never know.
First of all, the only person who thinks they were supposed to be contenders is the guy wearing no sleeves on this podcast. Okay.
No.
I don't know. The gnome behind him had high hopes.
You said if they don't win 9 games this year, it's a disappointment. That was the quote.
It is.
So you must be horribly disappointed.
I am horribly so far. Yes, I am.
Cove, I've missed the past couple of weeks. Did you down a Mad Dog yet? Did you find one?
No.
I said I have to do it by the end of the football season, but
I will stop at a store in Newark.
Say it with me. Bodega. I think you're the guy.
Bodega.
You're the guy that makes it happen. But we'll see. JP, what's been your surprise?
So unfortunately, because I'm at the stadium every Sunday, I really don't get as good a chance to watch any other games. Looking at it from afar, the Bills are actually kind of surprising me a little bit that they're 3-1. I don't know really who they've played yet. I mean, they beat the Falcons, so So as far as the Jets are concerned, I mean, last week was a bit of an eye opener for me. If the Jets can figure out a way to not do the most Jets things possible, like, I don't know, completing a 30-yard pass and dancing around and like you just won the Super Bowl instead of getting to the line to snap the ball, and then, a couple plays later, 2 sacks later, you're missing a field goal that wouldn't have put you in overtime. Jeff and I had a nice little text conversation during the game about that. I was sitting up in my section furious. Like, I couldn't believe that what was going on. So if the Jets can figure out how to stop being the Jets and just play halfway decent football, I think they might actually be able to surprise a few people.
In what way?
I don't know, man. They don't look as shitty as I thought they were going to look. And I think you're the same way though, Jeff.
Come on, man. Like, surprise some people. What was it? What did they get? Win 5 games? I mean, that's a surprise. The fact that they've already won 2 is a surprise.
The fact that I know, but even so, I mean, you never know.
It's not like you're gonna go out there and win 8.
The Giants. I don't know, man. Like with the Giants, I don't want to go to work on Sunday.
Well, here's my legitimate question that I thought would have been insane. In the beginning of the year, who's going to have more wins at the end of the year? Is it going to be the Jets or the Giants, Paul?
I still think it's going to be the Giants. You look at the Jets' schedule, like second half of the year, they play the Bucks, Panthers, Chiefs, Broncos, Saints. That they look a lot better than they have in past years. The Chargers and the Pats. So that's a tough schedule.
They're losing 5 out of those 6. Right? I mean, maybe they'll beat the Chargers.
No, they're definitely split with the Pats. They always split with the Pats.
Over under splitting with the Patriots. Okay, I never said that.
All right. So you still think the Giants? Do you see it the same way, Nick?
I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things where a couple games is like kind of an anomaly. And then, but like once it becomes like 4 or 5 games, it's like a trend where like that's like maybe your real team, And it's like if the Giants don't win this week against the Chargers, like your team actually sucks. Like if you're 0-5 losing against the Chargers at home, like you actually suck.
Yeah. Suck for Saquon.
Oh,
I mean, I don't know. The Jets are one of those teams where, like I was talking to my friend Tyler about this. the game against Jacksonville was so like emotional, and all the Jets fans were trying to sit there like they don't really care about winning, but then they kind of want to root for them. And I was like, this is the game that they just pull the fan base right back in. Like they pull them in, and then everyone kind of gets, oh, maybe we can win like 6 or 7 games, maybe be competitive.
Nobody thinks that.
And then you lose to the Browns next week, and it's like, come on.
Nobody really thinks this team can win 7 games. There's not a educated Jet fan alive that believes that. That's nonsense. But it is. But to your
but you know what it is? Sometimes when you have a youthful team, it kind of brings like this energy that you didn't have with all these veterans. Like the veterans, once things start going south, they just like almost mail it in.
Yeah,
but the young guys are just fighting. It kind of adds something that you don't see on paper.
Once the veterans things go south, they become a New York Giant, and then things go south there too. JP, who's
hold on? Can we just point out that Brandon Marshall went to the Giants because he wanted to go to the Super Bowl, and they're 0-4.
I'm starting to think he might be the problem. JP, who's going to win more games after the quarter mark? You see here, the Jets or the Giants?
It'll probably be the Giants, but the Giants' schedule is not exactly conducive to winning the rest of the way either. I mean, they got to play, the Broncos, the Seahawks, the Chiefs. By the time they play the Raiders, they might have a quarterback back. You never know. I mean, they're in a bad spot. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's not good at all.
Give me one more of those Scotch and Peptos. I got a case of squirts, but I still want to drink.
A last call for alcohol. So what you need? One bourbon, one Scotch.
All right. The one thing we didn't bring up tonight that I did want to hit on. Cam Newton was at a press conference, I guess, at some point over the last couple of days, and a female reporter asked him a question about a route that one of his receivers ran, and Cam basically laughed at her and said it was funny that a woman was asking the question. Now, listen, this is not a podcast where we dive into, the wage gap or equal rights or anything like that, and that's not really where I want this conversation to go. But I think it's embarrassing for a, top player in the league to put himself, his franchise, and the NFL in a position like that. Just shows the true colors of who the guy is and the lack of respect that he has for not only the media, but certainly any kind of female reporter that come to the locker room. It wasn't an off-base question. It wasn't even an out-of-bounds question, and it wasn't a poorly thought-out question. The fact that he laughed at it is more embarrassing for him than he probably even understands. So that's the last thing I got. What do you got, JP? Anything?
Not really. It's a month till wrestling season at Rutgers, and I'm pretty much done with the team. So,
is Ric Flair wrestling for them this year?
Hey, they're going to be a top 10 wrestling team this year. So, and probably have at least 4 All-Americans, which is very, very huge. So
that's good. Yeah. I got a buddy who's big into the wrestling scene. Maybe we'll do a little spin-off. There's all talk about these spin-off podcasts that we're going to do with this show. Maybe we'll do a little spin-off NCAA wrestling talk that I can kind of sit here.
Yeah, that'll do well.
Drink and facilitate. We'll have about 8 people that listen to it. That'll be solid. Cool. Nikki, last call. What do you got?
Hockey season's back. Devils play their first game Saturday. That's pretty exciting. But just to bounce off what you said, Jeff, I watched the video. It was very cringeworthy. And the reporter said afterwards she came up to him and tried to clarify what he was laughing about, and he refused to apologize. This goes beyond sports. I just think that's very embarrassing, and just it was very uncomfortable to watch. And I just think that I don't know. I have no other words besides that. It's kind of disgusting.
How do you expect the Devils to do?
Well, they can't do any worse than being last place, but they got some younger guys. They signed some pieces that maybe can help them. I think if they're competing for a playoff spot at the end of the year, that'll be good. But I really can't see them doing that.
Okay, great, Paul. What do you think? What do you got? Last call.
I think that I don't know if it speaks volumes to just the way this team continues to win but fly under the radar. None of us mentioned the Chiefs in the NFL segment, the only undefeated team. Dynamic players on offense. That rookie running back Hunt is just legit. Tyreek Hill. I mean, Alex Smith just keeps getting it done. I don't know if it seems like he's taking more chances this year. He's kind of not dinking and dunking as much, but if that team can figure it out, I mean, I don't know if it's a surprise or if we just half-ass expect them to be good because they're always kind of there. But I just wanted to kind of say something about the Chiefs. I mean, they seem like they're on a roll right now.
I think you're right. I mean, I think if they can figure it out, they definitely have the head coach that can take them to the AFC title game and then lose.
and blow 3 timeouts in the third quarter.
I definitely think that's something that is in their future. So that'll be good. And then they'll get rid of Alex Smith and they'll bring in the other kid. And Alex Smith will be the Jet quarterback. Be awesome.
Yeah. Yuck.
Thanks for taking the time, everybody. You can find us on social media. We are Low Outside Sport on Twitter, and I don't know what we are on Snapchat, but apparently it's lit.
It's not.
No, it's not at all. Check us out, lowandoutside.com. All sorts of fun stuff to take a look at over there. New stuff going up, a couple times a week, maybe once a month, that type of thing. But it's a cool place where that stuff can live. So thanks for taking the time, and until next time, we'll catch you later.
Desperandum, dear lady. Across the desert lies the promised land. Goodbye, Mrs. Blue. Adieu. Auf Wiedersehen. Gesundheit. Farewell.
Fare thee well to you, my own true love. River Mercy, fare thee well. I am bound for California, a place that I know right well. So fare thee well, my own true love. When I return united we will be. It's not the leaving of Liverpool that's grieving me, but my darling, when I think of thee.